So Kingdom Hearts went to the Epic Games Store years ago, and you'd be forgiven for not knowing that, because basically nobody knew that. And earlier this year, Square Enix made a few statements about how they want their games to be more accessible, and they don't want them to be tied down to specific platforms anymore. So it shouldn't have been surprising that almost immediately after that, they announced Steam ports of all the Kingdom Hearts games. The reaction to Kingdom Hearts going to Steam was hilarious to me because a ton of people just straight up did not know these games already existed on PC through the Epic Store, because what is the Epic Store if not a firewall between gamers and the things they want to buy? But just how well did Kingdom Hearts do on Steam? You know, all these years after the PC ports actually launched on the Epic Store. How many people were actually dropping the money for them? Well, as of August 2nd, we actually have some data on how well the PC ports of Kingdom Hearts are doing on Steam, and frankly, they're doing way better than even I was expecting. I'm usually the most optimistic person when it comes to PC ports and sales numbers, and this blew my expectations out of the water. So every month, Matt Piscatella of Circana, or Circana, or however you pronounce that, posts these charts of how well the gaming industry is doing in the United States, and they're always interesting to look at. You've probably seen these black on white text PNGs spread around Twitter as part of the console war, because one of the things that he posts every month is exactly what the top selling games in the US are, a lot of times platform by platform, both of the month and on year to date. It's really interesting stuff to look through, but in the most recent info dump, some very interesting details were shared about Kingdom Hearts. So according to the data posted the other day, Kingdom Hearts found itself in the top 3 best-selling games of June 2024 in the United States. And before June 2024, it was at number 399. But the Integra Masterpiece Collection, which is the bundle of all the Kingdom Hearts games that's on Steam, shot all the way up to being the 3rd best-selling game in the entire country in June of 2024. And when did Integra Masterpiece launch on Steam? June 12th, 2024? Arf, arf! What's that, boy? The Epic Games Store is a worthless piece of poison software that holds games back from reaching their true potential? And to quote someone that Matt Piscatella retweeted after publishing this data, if you're not porting your shit to Steam at this point, you're just leaving a big bucket of money on the table. You may not like how much power Steam has in the PC market, but until one of the other big boy PC storefronts wakes the fuck up and starts properly competing, this is the way it's going to be. The Epic Games Store may have lofty ambitions of taking down Valve and their digital distribution service, but at the end of the day, putting money into securing Epic exclusives instead of putting money into literally anything that would make your service less ass is a bad strategy, as anyone with eyeballs and a room temperature IQ can tell you. And as much as I've already kicked Epic Games in the teeth in my videos over the last few years, I can't resist but kick them even more because this is so hysterically sweet. Kingdom fucking Hearts was the 3rd best-selling game of the entire United States because of a Steam port, despite the fact that the games already existed on the PC for years up to this point. That is how poisonous the Epic Games Store is. I don't know how much more blatant it can be. So when you hear about Square Enix wanting to branch out and not be confined to one platform, this is why. When you see publishers make a big stink about going to Epic Games and then, or just using their own proprietary PC launcher, and then you hear about them crawling back to Steam, this is why. The Epic Games Store is poisonous. I genuinely challenge you to name a single game that benefited from being exclusive to the Epic Store. I want you to name a single game that actually benefited from being restricted from Steam. What game was made exclusive to the Epic Store and saw super crankin' sales numbers? What game was released on the Epic Store and Steam, and the Epic version was the more appealing buy? You cannot name a single game that fits either of those criteria. But you know what games I absolutely can name? I can name plenty of games that were annihilated by Epic Store exclusivity. I already mentioned how a lot of PC gamers genuinely didn't know that Kingdom Hearts was on the PC during the time that it was exclusive to the Epic Store, but the list doesn't start and end with Kingdom Hearts, not even close. Alan Wake 2 was exclusive to the Epic Store and reportedly sold rather poorly on the PC as a result. as was the case with Dead Island 2 and Borderlands 3, and basically every Ubisoft game that are all launching as Epic exclusives, or Epic and Uplay, or whatever Ubisoft calls their stupid storefront now. Ubisoft games don't launch on Steam anymore, and they have taken a pretty public nosedive in PC sales because of it. Every single game that does not launch on Steam because Epic Games made sure it didn't, every single game in that situation struggles to get momentum on the PC. And the reasons are obvious. I say this in every video I make about the Epic Store, that they could turn this around in an instant, but they are actively choosing not to, and that's why I go so hard on them. And it's why the internet goes so hard on them, because all of their problems could be solved in an afternoon, and they are actively choosing not to solve them, while also actively choosing to blame their competition for doing a better job than them and supplying a better product than them. This isn't how the open market works, and it never will. People aren't choosing Steam over Epic due to some loyalty to Gabe. Yes, it certainly helps that Gabe and Valve generally are seen rather positively by the average PC gamer, but that's because Gabe and Valve have consistently proven themselves to be much more consumer-friendly than basically every other AAA gaming company in the current industry. That's not to say that they're perfect, but they are much more consumer-friendly than basically anyone else on the playing field. But that's not why the Epic Games Store is such a poison. It's a poison because Tim Sweeney just can't be fucked to realize that his product is garbage and put resources into fixing it. The Epic Games Store and the Epic Games Launcher, they're buggy. They're slow. They put unnecessary strain on your computer through background processes that really don't serve any purpose because no other launcher seems to struggle in this department the way the Epic launcher does. The Epic Store is frequently far more expensive than the alternatives for basically no reason because it's not like you're getting a better product, and the store and service themselves are still lacking basic features that PC gamers have been asking for since day one, all of which are features that Steam has had since before EGS even launched. This isn't hard. Implement the things that PC gamers want and they will use your service. But instead, you're putting hundreds of millions of dollars into trying to strong-arm people over to your service. A service that nobody likes and nobody actually wants to use because it makes the game playing process as frustrating as humanly possible. All the while, Steam just gets the fuck out of your way and lets you play your games with minimal intrusion. That's the difference. It breaks my heart whenever I see reports come out of a PC game doing poorly on the Epic Store because it's not the developer's fault. It's not their fault that Epic offered their publisher a fat check in return for exclusive PC hosting rights for, however long these deals last. It's not the developer's fault that the business side of their team decided to do something that would guarantee them some cash up front, but then utterly destroy the size of their consumer base, which is ultimately what's going to matter in the long run if you're a company of developers trying to make games for the foreseeable future. You need an installed user base, and you need customers who want to support you. You can't bank your entire future on Epic checks. When Epic comes along and offers your publisher a check for the PC rights and your publisher takes that check, they're not doing anything more than just guaranteeing that a ton of potential long-term customers to that developer will never play the game, because there are a million other games that they could be playing and that don't involve them downloading a trash heap of a launcher that they don't want. Epic Games is really underestimating how many games there are to play on the PC, too. I love that. Epic Games insists that they know what PC gamers like, and they insist they know what's best for the industry and what the right course of action for being a PC publisher is, and yet they still can't wrap their heads around the fact that PC gamers have way bigger backlogs than console gamers. So we're not going to jump on EGS just because there's one or two games we kind of want to play. We're just going to wait until those one or two games come to a platform we don't hate and a platform that doesn't seem to hate us in return. And that's how you get situations like this. Kingdom Hearts was ported to PC fucking years ago, and yet it absolutely exploded in sales after being ported to Steam. Not because the versions that existed already were bad, and not because PC gamers just don't like Kingdom Hearts, but because it was exclusive to the Epic Store, and literally no other reason. And as someone who loves PC gaming and hates Epic Games trying to monopolize it, this is just the sweetest thing ever. Like, more of this, please. More sticking it to Epic Games. Maybe this will kick off the trend of you not signing garbage exclusivity deals in the future, right? That's what I want to see from this. I don't want Epic Games to just stop existing, because then they would never improve. But what I do want is for it to become so painfully and evidently clear to absolutely everyone that the Epic Games PC strategy is a complete flop and will never work. I want Epic's investors to see this. I want the C-suite of Epic to have to answer for this, because it's gone on way too long, and I'm tired of seeing developers and the art they create be held back because Epic can't be fucked to make a better product. PC gamers ran Games for Windows Live out the window in record time, and while Epic Games is certainly holding on, I somewhat respect their dedication, it's seriously about time for some heads to start rolling up at the top of Epic, because you and I both know that the insane financial losses and missed marks coming from their EGS strategy, those losses are not going to be felt by the C-suite. They're going to be felt by the lower level employees that get laid off every few months because Epic Games is run by a bunch of fragile children who cannot accept that their ideas are garbage and their leadership isn't working. So this? I want more of this. I want as much of this as it is humanly possible to have. I want Epic Games to be so fucking embarrassed on an industry-wide level that they are forced to listen to their consumers for once in their existence. I want leadership to be forced to answer to the money they're losing and the reputation they're destroying. But most importantly, I want Tim Sweeney to change his fucking Twitter profile picture. You've been running this pixelated selfie for as long as I've been making YouTube videos, and back when Epic Games was still kind of the underdog on the mainstream gaming scene, in the pre-EGS days, early Fortnite days, it was funny and kind of quirky how you had a pixelated selfie as your profile picture, but now that you're the most insufferable person in the entire industry, change it. Just change it. Also, speaking of Tim Sweeney, someone might want to make sure he's doing okay after he reads this report about Kingdom Hearts on Steam. Okay, toodles.